Herbs and spices. This is the front view of my spice cabinet. Here is the bird's eye view. The containers with the shiny silver lids, I either use a larger quantity of or I use more often. The containers with the smaller black lids, I use a smaller quantity of, and I store the rest in the freezer so it can stay fresh. Let's start at the top left. The white container is a cinnamon sugar sprinkle that I use for homemade donuts, French toast, pancakes, waffles, and crepes. Then stevia is the actual green stevia herb that's been dried and ground. Caraway seeds, especially when I ferment sauerkraut. Bay leaf, pepper, which is white, black, and pink peppercorns. Turmeric. Curry, which is a blend of Indian spices already ready to use and great when you don't have a lot of time. Paprika, which is actually smoked paprika, and it adds a sweet, smoky flavor to food. Chili powder. Chipotle, which adds smoky heat to food. Red pepper flakes, garlic powder, and herbs Provence. Now, small black containers, I have celery and dill seed, which I use in fermentation, juniper berries, lemon peel and Szechuan pepper I use when I make a special blueberry dressing, and I just keep a small quantity in the pantry ready to go. Cinnamon that's been ground, ginger that's been ground, cayenne pepper, whole allspice, whole cloves, sage for when I make turkey gravy, dill for a creamy dill dressing, and oregano when I make my Mexican spice. You can see 3 little bottles of extract. The larger one in the back is vanilla for some sweet treats. Then it's lemon extract for when I make a lemon poppy seed cake or muffins. And then the small one in the front with the tiny black lid is peppermint extract for when I make scratch-made Girl Scout Thin Mints. Then we have gumbo filet, which is ground up sassafras leaves, and it's used to thicken a sauce or a gumbo or a gravy. Then we have 2 things at the bottom. One is a camping mix, which is just a bunch of different spices that we like, and we just add them together. And salt. When we go out of town and cook in somebody else's house, or when we go camping, I grab the camping mix, the salt, and the peppermill that normally stays on my kitchen counter. Then I have spices that I don't use very often, and I like to keep them in the freezer so they can definitely stay as fresh for as long as possible. From the right, you'll have nutmeg, then coriander seed, then fenugreek, then cardamom, cumin seeds, fennel seeds, and poppy seeds. And I keep these in the freezer because I certainly don't use them very often. Herbs Provence is a blend of really flavorful green herbs, considered typical of the Provence region of southeast France. It is one of my most popular seasonings and therefore keep a large jar ready to use. My significant other is a Cajun, and where he comes from in Louisiana, everyone uses Tony Chachere's seasoning for gumbos, jambalaya, and crawfish boils. I prefer to salt my food to taste, so I make a blend that omits the salt to better control the heat and salt content of the food. This Mexican spice blend is great for all dishes south of the border. I have used this mix in plain vanilla cake or sugar cookies. It looks strange, but it tastes great. Rogan Josh is an aromatic lamb dish of Persian origin, distinguished by its fiery red flavorful sauce. The name here originated from the word Rogan, meaning oil in Persian, and Josh meaning heat. I include this particular curry recipe since the taste of it holds memories from my childhood, especially traveling to Durban, South Africa. This is the formula for 1 pound of ground lean meat. You can use balsamic vinegar for a sweeter jerky. And to quote Julia Child, you can't go wrong with red wine. We even put it in the food. For how to prepare a sirloin tip or a leg of lamb roast, you can watch my videos sirloin tip or venison leg on my channel. The raw brisket will marinate in this brine for a couple of days. I normally follow Sally Fallon's recipe in Nourishing Traditions. I use these spices whether I make chicken, rabbit, duck, venison, beef or lamb stock. I do strain out all the spices before I use the stock. You can design a semester-long class on how to cook with Indian spices. If you want to learn more, I would refer you to Sandeep from Pure Indian Foods. He travels back and forth to India to acquire spices for his products. Growing up in South Africa and learning about the settlement of Cape Town, founded by Jan van Riebeeck on April 6, 1652, as a way station to provide fresh provisions for the Dutch East India Company's fleets, sailing between the Dutch Republic and the East Indies. Sailors risk life and limb so we can spice up our food, because who wants to cook with just herbs?